May Day, folks, and there are protests going on, not just around the country, but all over the world in protest, and primarily to Trump's agenda, from the aggressive tariffs to the global economic turmoil and chaos that he's causing, and this administration's agenda to basically destabilize really working families across the country. Earlier today, I was listening to, I have so much going on in the background, whether it's news and listening to all the other hosts. And there was also, I think it was on Free Speech TV today, kind of the background of Elon Musk's family, and not just Elon Musk's, but Peter Thiel. We've talked before about their backgrounds, their family background in apartheid, in not just apartheid, but also these technocrats of the 1930s and 40s who believed that the super wealthy should be the ones that come in, take over all the elements of our government in order to just basically instill and appoint themselves as the true leaders of our country. And we've talked about this before with some of these folks that really believe that the country and lots of the world should just be run as though it's a business and appoint a CEO. This guy, Curtis Yarvis, who says that we should get used to a dictatorship. And when you say that it's okay to apprehend people, to bust into their homes without a warrant when they just make mistakes, and you've got families, this mother and her two daughters outside on their lawn in the rain, having their house tossed, and it turned out to be not just the wrong address, but they confiscated everything in their home. And it's like this brand, this offshoot of Homeland Security. I think it's like IDS or DSI, like all these different letters, and people aren't identifying themselves. We are truly in the upside down. So people are starting to wake up to this. There were protests in Chicago, New York, Philadelphia, Los Angeles, of course, in Washington, D.C. Here in Chicago, they were on the west side. There were a lot of folks, realizing, who are coming to these protests, some of them for the first time, saying it's time to fight back. And I really I think it helps people. A lot of my friends who say they're starting to feel a little bit of hope because they are seeing people stand up, and it does make a difference. And in the meantime, the Trump administration is once again playing musical chairs with officials. Now they're saying, if you're going to, after telling us that it wasn't a big deal that a reporter from The Atlantic was accidentally added to a Signal chat, they're going to get rid of National Security Advisor Mike Waltz. And Alex Wong are both going to be let go from their positions. And this is, again, Waltz was the one that they said accidentally added the journalist to, from The Atlantic to the Signal chat while they were preparing and giving information, sharing information about when the planes were going to take off, when they were going to attack, all these different elements of war plans. And I don't know what that does in the instance of Hegseth sharing a Signal chat with his wife, with his brother, with his lawyer. But right now they've decided, I don't even know what led them to suddenly go, okay, maybe we should do something. So it's certainly not swift, and it doesn't seem like they have any logic behind so many of their actions at any rate. So Trump has announced that, however, Waltz isn't going away. He's just not going to be the national security advisor. He's going to be a U.S. ambassador to the United Nations. And now Marco Rubio is going to serve as also the national security advisor. So So this guy Waltz makes a mistake with adding somebody to the Signal chat, but rather than saying get rid of this guy, he's a dunce, let's put him in a diplomatic post. Of course. It's just insane. But I didn't know this. Did you guys realize that since April 1st, at least 20 staffers from the National Security Council have been fired? The NSA director dismissed. 3 high-ranking Pentagon officials have been shown the door. And what are we even doing here? It's just insane. There is a little bit. I mean, every time there's a little bit of a glimmer of news that seems okay. There is a judge out of Texas who By the way, a Trump-appointed judge who decided that Trump's use of the 1798 Alien Enemies Act to deport Venezuelan migrants is unlawful and exceeds the scope of the law. That's right. It is Judge Fernando Rodriguez, by the way. Thank you, Judge. We appreciate that. It's something. I mean, when you're going to invoke a 227-year-old wartime law in order to accelerate the deportations of Venezuelans, claiming that a gang is invading our country, I would hope that judges would step in, that the courts would say this is too far, because basically what he did was declare all Venezuelans 14 years or older could be apprehended, restrained, secured, and removed as alien enemies. That's right. That's all the entire scope of what Trump is trying to do. Here's a story, with everything that we cover, whether it's the lack of due process, the mass deportations that are really, it turns out to be in many cases kidnapping, harassing people who should not be the targets of these invasions of homes. I don't think a lot of people know about this, but in Alabama, you know how they're suspending all the funding for a lot of different federal programs, grants. In January, they blockaded a lot of funding. They wanted to make sure that there weren't any programs that were helping people that are LGBTQ plus or people of color. They don't want to help Black and brown people. So in Alabama, the administration has terminated a $26 million federal program that was designed to make sure that the residents of Lowndes County, Alabama, don't have to deal with raw sewage backing up into their homes because they have deemed the program to be illegal DEI. It's an illegal DE. So now folks are going to have raw sewage coming into their homes because some language in the grant, I'm sure, it just goes against the sensibilities of the Trump administration. So at any rate, that was but we know it's not just the DEI language. It's because the Biden administration made sure that the residents of this community would have clean water. Okay. This is how we're going to do it. Hey, Jim, what's on your mind, my friend?
Hi, Patty. Believe it or not, Bill O'Reilly is now the face of News Nation. And wasn't he a lecturer that fell from grace from Fox News because he didn't know how to treat women appropriately? He didn't know how to ask for a date appropriately? Wasn't it
amazing that they had to use one as the scapegoat for all of them because none of them know how to conduct themselves around women at that network.
It seems to be a glee club among these guys. I mean, and plus the fact they made a fortune with their baloney. It's not like they can't entertain a lady in style. I mean, why they have to be a lecturer is just amazing to me. I don't know what psychological profile that.
Well, I think, Jim, this is where I think that we're hearing all these conversations about how there isn't a place for men anymore. It is more of a reaction to women saying we're not going to tolerate bad behavior, and I think a lot of guys are mad that they can't behave that way anymore. We can't be guys. What? We just locker room talk. We can't talk about grabbing women by the vaginas anymore. We can't do that anymore. I think there's a lot of that. They're angry.
Well, I know, but Patty, that's never been in vogue. I mean, let's face it. If you're raised to treat people with civility, you don't approach that. But it's just strange. Like the guy that's running the military, he had another couple inappropriate liaisons. All these people. Trump is the star of it, but it's so creepy. It's just so creepy. I don't know what to say. And News Nation, I don't know if you saw it, this is another nightmare program. They had like 6 people call in. None of me gas and say a word about Trump because they probably have him arrested by ICE. That's the way they reacted. Is why can't Trump eject everybody he wants to out of the country? Why can't we give big tax cuts to the billionaires? It's just one question. I mean, it was just like, a Trump production. It's amazing to watch. It's just amazing to watch this. And people swallow this message.
I don't know if I'm amazed. I'm definitely sort of feeling a lot of emotions, but I'm not amazed by it. It's dread. A lot of dread. I have a lot of dread.
I know, but how do people get to this point where they want a dictator? That's what kills me. Especially young people. Why would they, when they study in school, don't they study dictators? They must study Mussolini and Hitler and whomever. Go back to Julius Caesar. I mean, they must study dictators. And why would they want a dictator? That's all. Anyway, Patty, have a great show. I had that crazy guy on my mind today. I can't stand it. Can't stand him. But anyway, they're all the same that way, you know.
Oh,
anyway, thanks, Patty.
Thank you, Jim. Thank you. I know some folks were texting in earlier. I have been getting messages, and people have been tagging me on social media because on my former radio station, Ted Cruz will have an evening show syndicated. Yep, right down the dial, just 100 minutes. Yeah, WGN has announced that they are going to have Ted Cruz on evenings from 8 to 10. And somebody said we should make sure that there are different execs. The radio, WGN Radio, not TV, they're not different execs, actually. Sean Compton, I believe, is the executive for both TV and radio side. And that was, I know, I am not surprised. That sounds about right over at my former station. Just saying. It's a little bit, I can't. Look, I'll be honest. I think we can all agree that it's surprising they let me stay as long as I did, considering my politics. It wasn't as there wasn't a directive, and I will say that the people I work with closely, that were just on the radio side, appreciated a lot. Let's put it this way: appreciated the conversations that we were having in the middle of the night, and I'm grateful for that opportunity. I wish that that things had. A lot of folks were messaging today on social media about, like, when did WGN become so political, and I think that's kind of, it reflects where we are, right? There's only so much you can do about, I mean, Dean Richards hosts a fun show, and he'll mix in serious topics, but he does a great job of talking about the theater and food and movies and things like that. But what is most compelling right now is what's going on in the news. And I do think that there is a value to having such a big platform, and including here where we can have these conversations. I think it's important. I think it's valuable. And I'm grateful that WCPT has made me part of this family, and that I'm not over. Believe me, I wish I didn't go the way I had to, but I don't think it was ever going to end well. Let's be honest. It was never going to end well. I want to thank our, it's only on Sunday nights, not Monday through Friday. Oh, okay. I must have misread. Thank you for that. So it's only one night a week. I think they already have another conservative, so maybe it's just a whole block. Okay, good. That I must have misread. Everyone was panicking about that. Yeah, whatever. It's. Here's the thing about any of these. One of the things I learned, and I try to tell people, it's not my toy. Right? These aren't our. This is their toy. They can do it. They can play with it the way they want. And okay, so it's just one night a week. I never really tune in to that station. Like I can't. I can't. At any rate, I want to thank our sponsors for making these conversations possible. Thank you to Source Solar. Go to source.solar and make an appointment. Maybe it's time for you to get solar panels on your home or your business and join over 100,000 happy customers in the Chicagoland area. We also want to thank Minocqua Brewing Company. We will be broadcasting live on May 13th from Madison, their tap room right there in the Wisconsin state capitol. And you can go to MinocquaBrewingCompany.com and sign up for their mailing list and get my column every week, as well as other great writers that Kirk is employed. We also want to thank our friends at Kids Above All. Go to kidsaboveall.org and find out about our great comedy night coming up on June 5th at the Greenhouse Theater. More after this on WCPT 820 and 1150 KKNW.
The Rick Smith Show.
These are the people that we've handed the keys to the kingdom. These are the people that we've said, go ahead, run the country. So are we surprised when we said that they're going to run it into the ground? No, you could go, Rick, you've been saying this is all planned, and I think it is. I think the chaos is plotted. I think they know, as long as there's chaos, we can then do the real goal, which is breaking the federal government and stealing from we the taxpayers.
The Rick Smith Show, weeknights at 7 on WCPT 820.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
800-708-3091. 800-708-3091. 800-708-3091. That's 800-708-3091.
Because facts matter. You're listening to WCPT 820.
If you're listening to this station right now, you've definitely heard my voice before. Hi, I'm Hawk.
And I'm Pete. And we're with Source Solar, your local source for solar. Source Solar is Chicagoland's premier solar installer, providing solutions for over 1,000 homeowners and business owners across Illinois and Iowa.
With over a decade of industry experience and deep roots here in Chicago, we have the expertise to help your transition to clean, renewable, resilient energy.
We can guarantee that we save you money day one without any out-of-pocket cost to you. This means you have an instant ROI, instant payback, and can save money to add to your bottom line day one.
At Source Solar, we source everything as local as possible, meaning we always carry the Made in USA sticker.
Find us online at www.source.solar. Stop in our office at 5710 North Northwest Highway or give us a call at 773-985-3992.
And don't forget to ask for Hawk
or Pete.
Patti Vasquez is taking your calls now.
All right, let's hit it.
At 773-763-9278.
I got a lot to say.
It's Driving It Home with Patti Vasquez.
Thank you so much for joining us as we drive it home. Someone sent me a text. I did not realize. Someone sent me a text about all the jobs that Marco Rubio now has. Let's see. Rubio will now have 4 jobs: Secretary of State, Acting Administrator of USAID, and the Agency for International Development, Acting Archivist of the National Archives and Records, and now National Security Advisor. And this text was also says, what could possibly go wrong? Oh my God, so very many things. I am grateful that the judges are ruling, and I wonder what more retaliation. Look, I get that Democrats are putting up legislation and forcing Republicans to take a vote, right? Yesterday, they demanded to know whether or not it should be against the law for judges to be arrested. And the Republicans all voted against their legislation. Everything that the Democrats are going to put up is going to be voted down. And part of this is to get people on the record for something. And I think these are all, I don't think it's been given to the entire body. I think these are in committee hearings in order to get them out for debate. But some of the things that Republicans, that MAGA seems perfectly comfortable with, eliminating due process, deporting children who have cancer, arresting judges, all of this, and having a press secretary essentially say that arresting a Supreme Court judge is not off the table. Holy moly. Absolutely insane. I can't even begin to imagine. It is. And we have been, I think every host has been talking about the fact that the reservations for shipment containers, those big, huge containers that semis drive across our country, that the reservations are down. One report I'd heard was at 64%. Earlier today, I heard Tom Hartman cite even higher numbers, that we are about 12 days from shelves being empty. And I wonder, are you taking stock of what it is that you rely on, that the prices might go up on? What are you thinking about cutting back on anything? I've talked before about how I really don't buy. I try not to buy new clothing as much, and it probably shows. But I go to thrift stores. I mean, if I need something fancy, I might go to TJ Maxx. That's about the extent of my shopping. And also local businesses. I will say this: if you are concerned about prices and maybe you want to stock up on gifts. There's a lot of great small businesses in every community. In Chicago, I love a business called Rep Chai. If you're watching on the Facebook live stream, you can see my fancy, shiny Chicago flag purse that I buy at Rep Chai. It's Replica Chicago, and they have a lot of Chicago-based artists, and they have a lot of wonderful artwork. They have everything from glassware, T-shirts, hats, scarves. They have home goods. They have all kinds of stuff you can wear and carry with you, jewelry. I have, remember the old transfers, the old CTA transfers? I have a earring where you can kind of like see the old transfer, the old CTA maps, the trade maps. And that's kind of cool. I have that. So it's Replica Chicago. You can go to repchai.com. That's REPCHI.com if you are looking for any Chicago themed gifts to buy somebody. And let me know if there are any businesses in your neck of the woods. These are the folks that we need to support, the local restaurants, the local, and this has been sort of my the drum that I beat all the time is shop locally. These are the folks that are going to need it the most because the wealthy, the corporations. Jeff Bezos could have stuck to his guns, right? But they want these contracts. So the threat of basically calling them these political acts against the Trump administration by the press secretary scared him. I mean, he backed out. Honestly, I wish he had just done it. Right? Just do it instead of don't telegraph it. Don't tell us what you're going to do, but just do it. I have the cojones. Somebody have the cojones to just do the thing. Name it. Tell us how much extra. Why is it political to say, here, this is why the price is going up? And look, my expectation is that people will recognize it. They certainly watched as egg prices go up. And I know that people talk about how, the Biden administration was not doing a good job of saying why inflation was happening, even though that's the thing is that inflation in the United States was cumbersome. It was under Biden. It was higher, right? It was also way higher around the world. We were weathering coming out of the pandemic far better than most countries in the world. But that's it's hard to tell people, I guess, well, we're not doing as bad as everybody else, right? Even though when we talk about women's rights, when we talk about what it's like in our workplace or how much we get paid, we'll get all these kinds of comments like, well, at least you don't live in the Middle East. At least you have why do we have to accept what we get and in comparison to something that could be worse? But when we say, look, it could be a lot worse, we're doing better because we're working harder. I don't know if that's a good comparison, but I'm just so frustrated with the idea that telling people the truth, we just can't do it. MAGA loves the lies. And I know that there are people that are starting to wake up to it. I know that there are people who, there's these conversations about how do we welcome people back? How do we have how do we strike up conversations again? I guess what I would say to anybody who is willing to listen, who bought into the lies, I'm sorry they lied to you. I'm sorry that you believed them. I don't wish ill on anybody. I know they'll fart around and find out, and maybe I'll laugh. The reason I fight for due process isn't because there's any specific person that is right now. There's no one specifically that I'm fighting for. It's everyone that we're fighting for. That it could happen to you. That it happened to somebody means that it could happen to you. Including the people who voted for Trump. I don't want this to happen to anybody. Nobody should be scooped up under the assumption that they are here illegally, not given due process, not this, whether to find out what their residency is, what their affiliations are, and having the president of the United States in an interview demand that a reporter accept his lies, even though it's quantifiably provable. We can show you that this is here's Kamar Brego's hand. Here's the Photoshop, a different hand, and you guys wrote MS-13 on the knuckles. It's not even in a sharp. It's not even the same. It just looks like someone typed it on the photo. Oh, it's so frustrating. At any rate. What are you guys thinking about today? In a few minutes, we're going to talk to our friend Reid McCollum and find out what's going on with our friends in the DuPage County Dems party. Find out what they're up to, what kind of events they've got planned, what opportunities there are, and I want to know, what are your thoughts on this sort of musical chairs when it comes to Democrats running for some of these seats, right? With Dick Durbin's seat, now a lot of folks are trying to get endorsements. They're lining up the funding. They're lining up the support. They're stating their case. And there are possibly other electeds who will be announcing what their plans are in the future as well. So we'll be curious to see how this all unfolds as we approach 2026. And somebody texted in yesterday that we need a Project 2029. I think everyone's got like different numbers. We need a project. We need to say what our mission is. What do we stand for as Democrats? So we need to start coming up with what are the things that you want to see? Because I know Project 2025, while they denied up and down till they were red in the face, blue in the face. I think they were red. They were to they kept telling us that Project 2025 wasn't real, and yet so many components of Project 2025 have been successfully enforced, have been imposed upon this country. And maybe coming up in a little bit, I'll read to you some of the Project 2025 accomplishments, I guess. I don't want to call it accomplishments, but what they have, the havoc that they have unfurled on us from Project 2025. Let's take a break here, and when we come back, we'll talk to our friend Reid McCollum and find out how they're doing in DuPage County. And if you have any questions or you have any thoughts you want to share, 773-763-9278. That's the number to call or text. And when we come back, we'll talk to the chair of the DuPage Dems, Reid McCollum.
You're listening to WCPT 820. Here's the latest Chicago weather update.
I'm meteorologist Ray Miller from the Weatherology Weather Center. Scattered showers and thunderstorms tonight with a low temperature around 48 degrees. Friday, cloudy with a chance of thunderstorms and a high around 60 degrees. Saturday, look for partly cloudy skies and a high at 51 with north winds at 10 to 20. Sunday, cloudy with a chance of showers and a high temperature around 57 degrees. On Monday, we'll see a chance of showers once again with a high temperature of 58 degrees. That's the latest Chicago weather update. Right now, it's 64.
This is Chicago's Progressive Talk, 820 AM, WCPT Willow Springs, and online at WCPT820.com, where facts matter.
You know that you can listen to Chicago's Progressive Talk on WCPT AM 820. Stream us live at WCPT820.com and on the TuneIn Radio app. Or you can ask Alexa, Siri, or Google to play WCPT from TuneIn. But now you have another option. We're simulcasting our programming overnights. 8 p.m. to 6 a.m. on WSBC AM 1240 for a clearer reception in and around the city. Chicago's Progressive Talk, WCPT 820. And now overnights on WSBC 1240 AM, where facts matter.
Hey Google, play WCPT.
Streaming Chicago's Progressive Talk from TuneIn.
DuPage County continues to get out the vote and elect progressive candidates, so it's no wonder that there are now several local retailers carrying progressive beer from Minocqua Brewing Company. Be sure to grab yours from Famous Liquors in Lombard, Arminetti Beverage Mart in Roselle, Doty Liquors in Elmhurst, and Bobby's Liquor Warehouse in Carroll Stream, conveniently located next door to the DuPage County Democratic Office. A full list of Illinois locations that offer the Resistance lineup of beers posted at the top of the Patti Vasquez Show Facebook page, as well as at MinocquaBrewingCompany.com.
You're listening to Driving It Home with Patti Vasquez.
Thank you so much for joining us as we continue to drive it home. Joining us on the line right now is the chair of the DuPage County Dems, Reid McCollum, joins us. Hey, Reid, how are you doing this evening?
I'm doing really well, Patty. It's great to be on.
Thank you so much for joining us. Are you staying hydrated as well?
I am.
Excellent.
Always, you know it.
Yeah, I gotta stay hydrated. What are you guys up to? What's the energy like right now? Because I know that we while it seems far away, 2026 is not that far away. Really, it's right on top of us almost. Wouldn't you say?
Oh no, absolutely. I mean, I think in DuPage County we're in protest. Take your vitamins. Protest. Go to work. Protest. Enjoy your family, protest. And so I was down at May Day today in Chicago in Union Park, and we're planning just a 30-mile-long protest for Sunday, May 18th with a broad coalition. So we've been kind of organizing folks to really escalate the protesting.
All right, that's Sunday, May 18th. And tell us a little bit about those details. I know folks want to know how to get involved.
Yeah, we are organizing a protest called Hands Across Chicagoland that will stretch from Aurora, Illinois to Douglas Park in Chicago. Folks will be able to go to the website, put their zip code in. It'll tell them where they can stand along the route. They are not marching 30 miles. They just bring a sign, show up. A lot of it is on Ogden Boulevard, and then it's going to stretch down 26th Street straight through Little Village and up California. And we've got Illinois Federation of Teachers involved, Democratic Women, a lot of indivisible groups, Personal PAC, so many Democratic organizations, and that's going to be a much broader coalition over the next couple of weeks to really send a message that we need to join hands, speak out, defend democracy, and with Trump defying the Constitution, people's civil liberties, ignoring judges, arresting judges, we have to continue to escalate the actions in the streets.
That's fantastic. I think a lot of people really want to keep the energy going, keep that momentum, and feel as though I feel as though a lot of folks who have tremendous amount of anxiety and are watching with dread the news every single day do find solace in the fact that people are rising up. Don't you think?
Oh, 100%. And I think that, just as in 2017, it starts with the grassroots. We all went to the Women's March. I think the energy in the streets is great. And, we are, I think, lucky in Illinois that we've got some of the most fearless elected leaders that are calling for the level of actions that we need to see, including Governor Pritzker when he was in New Hampshire and just brought the house down about protesting all the time, and really, outspoken members of Congress in certain parts of our delegation that are really calling for pretty aggressive actions and just recognizing the moment that we're in. We're fighting authoritarianism, so we need to act accordingly.
Are you hearing, we absolutely are fighting back against authoritarianism, and with that, are you hearing folks in DuPage County in regards to anyone being vulnerable to any of these raids, or, the fear of ICE coming into like workspaces and trying to pick people up?
Yeah, we've had incidents where ICE has come in and collected people, even at like school bus stops. Children are boarding the buses. That happened early on in Bensonville. We have been promoting Know Your Rights information. I mean, it's hard to do rapid response when there is when no one knows. So it's about people driving immediately to where they hear something happen, talking to people there. And then trying to limit disinformation, or not really disinformation, but just confusion and rumors that can sow even more fear. And so it's everywhere. We want to elect a Democratic sheriff in DuPage County next year. That's sort of our top priority. This current sheriff who's running for governor, Mendrick, was sharing just complete nonsense about our governor sort of, how they flip it around, and it's like we're stoking fears of violence when they insurrection on the Capitol and Trump, othering huge segments of our population, and putting people's lives at risk, and then accusing us of, creating violence when it's standing up to authoritarianism.
Yeah, it is. It's heartbreaking to see some of these stories coming out from all over the country where, whether it's people busting in doors because, Pam Bondi has now said they don't have to have a warrant. And to your point about, trying to inform people what the right way, to respond is, what are you telling folks? Like when someone knocks at their door, there's got to be a fear of them just breaking down the doors, right?
And I won't pretend to be an expert in terms of what you can do when they're not even going to, if you don't have the right within your own home to make them have a warrant, then, all you can do is sort of insist on that and not answer the door. And, we're in a really dark place. They're threatening to send American citizens to El Salvador and foreign dungeons without any due process. And that's what dictators do. And at that point, we have to do everything we can to not get to that point. And that's just standing up against the tyranny now.
Right. Which is why May 18th is going to be so important. Again, we're talking to Reid McCollum, who is the chair, the DuPage County chair, and we were talking earlier about Hands Across Chicagoland. It's going to be Sunday, May 18th, from noon to 2 p.m. And if you follow the DuPage Dems on their Facebook page, the DuPage Party, the Democratic Party of DuPage County on Facebook, you can get more information on how to sign up. And people can also train to be protest marshals. I think that's also helpful for people who want to, be a part of something, but even lend more support. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so indivisible groups in the area have been largely, to my knowledge, doing the marshal trainings. Those have been phenomenal. I know a lot of people that are getting trained as marshals. We're going to need a lot of marshals. I remember a few years ago, it was like, everybody get notarized, become a notary if you're in Democratic politics. Now, if you're out in the resistance or in the Democratic Party, it's like becoming a marshal, because we're going to need a lot more protests. So a lot of the indivisible groups have been doing a great job with the lead on that, and obviously a lot of our friends in labor in Chicago and immigrants' rights groups in Chicago do a lot of marshal trainings as well. For this May 18th event, we did put a website together that's easy for folks to write down to get the information and to sign up as well. It's just Hands Across Chi, CHI, is in Chicago, handsacrossshy.com.
Excellent. I love that. And I wonder, what are you hearing from business leaders in DuPage County with the, this tariff mayhem and looming shortages, escalating prices? Are you having conversations with people who are worried about being even able to keep their doors open?
Absolutely. It's not helping any small businesses in DuPage County, I can tell you that. I mean, it's hard to get parts in if you're a manufacturer. They're seeing increased prices, disruptions to their supply chain. Many small businesses that sell, niche products are having to close their doors and go out of business because it's untenable with the tariffs to be in business anymore. It's just crushing, and at the same time, it's a tax on working families in America. And it's obviously exactly the opposite of what Donald Trump said he was going to do, which many of us knew were blatant lies. I mean, it's very clear who he's fighting for, and we haven't even gotten into the tax cuts while cutting Medicaid conversation. So, it's not helpful to say I told you so, but we have to make sure voters at this point and really citizens, in addition to trying to protect people in our community and providing the resources that they need with local government, are aware of who is to blame for the price hikes that are coming, for the job losses, for the recession that might be starting, and just, which elected officials are going to fight for them.
Yeah, I agree. The "I told you so" part, or I didn't know the leopards were going to eat my face element of this. I mean, it'll pop up and things like that, but I don't care. I'm not interested in who someone voted for. If they're a senior who can't get access to the Social Security payments, that ticks me off. And they may have voted against their own interests, but the fact that we're closing offices, that they're drawing down the number of people who are responding. I don't know if you heard this, but it went from people being able to call their Social Security office and maybe be on hold for 10 minutes to some people being on hold and not getting to talk to someone for 5 hours, or they're being dumped out of the system. I don't want any senior to go through that. Do you? No. Imagine.
No, and exactly, and that's what their plan is for all of the important programs that people have an earned right to help them stay afloat. Is they're going to throw up all the hurdles and all the hoops, and it's the same. It's a 50-year campaign to turn people against their own self-interest. Like, people are smart, and we all have the same values. But when you have corporate money and billionaires trying to destroy government for my entire lifetime and yours, people are victimized by that attack on what public servants and government is us, and the government exists to keep people safe. I mean, we're an insurance company with an army.
Yeah, it's absolutely insane. In addition to the May 18th event, are you talking to folks who maybe have never run for office yet and they're starting to consider it? Because you guys were wildly successful in the races that you got in DuPage County, and once again, congratulations. I think that you're becoming a standard bearer for the entire state of Illinois and beyond. So what kind of conversations are you having with folks for different races coming up in 2026?
There are a lot of people that have never been really involved that do want to run for office, and I think they have a good chance. I mean, we want to make sure we have a Democrat for every position on the ballot in 2026, and we might win them all, which is what we did just at the beginning of the month on April 1st. And people are looking for a way to fight back against all the harm that's happening in local government, county government, from forest preserve up to running for Congress. There's so much good that people can do in elected office, and that is a very valuable way that people can fight back. From the grassroots to help their fellow citizens. So yeah, we've been seeing really encouraging signs in terms of candidates, potential candidates coming forward wanting to get more information.
Do you have any DuPage electeds or people who are considering running for Dick Durbin's now vacancy? I'm just curious if there's anybody in DuPage. I know that some people haven't announced fully yet, but is there anybody that's name has been kind of bandied about?
Not really. I mean, I'd say there's so many dominoes, right, because of who might run for Dick Durbin's seat, and then people running for their seat, and then people running for their seat. So I think you can. It's turtles all the way down in some sense. Like there will be dominoes all over this state, and there's definitely candidates that will emerge for openings that are in DuPage County, I'm sure, as a result of some of that. And it's exciting. We're going to have a really fun, interesting democratic process with the primary, and I think we've got a lot of great folks rumored to be running. I think the lieutenant governor is fantastic. I think it's going to be awesome for voters to really get a chance to think about who would be best to represent us in the United States Senate for Illinois. And Senator Durbin's done, in my opinion, a fantastic job for his entire career, but it's awesome for new leaders to have a chance to emerge as well.
I agree. And for folks who live in DuPage County, remember that you can go to DuPageDemocrats.com to find out about all the events they have coming up. Lend your support in any way you can. Join them. And you can also learn more about the townships that you might, including Addison, Bloomingdale, Downers Grove, Lisle, like all the township organizations. And the more you know about what your different layers of administrative offices and in your community, the better off you are. Don't you think, Reid?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. People don't realize that there is a local Democratic group close to where they are if they live in DuPage or across most of the listening area. I mean, there's a local Democratic organization. There's grassroots organizations. All of our 9 township Democratic groups meet monthly. You can get their information from our website, which you mentioned, and those are your neighborhood homes for where you can be most involved and productive to help fight back and consider running for office yourself.
Outstanding. Is there anything else you want to make sure you let our audience know about, Reid? I don't want to have you leaving anything on the table.
No, just at handsacrossshy.com to sign up for this protest. I mean, we're going to have people lining 30 miles from Aurora to Chicago, so it'd be great to have as many people out there as possible. I'm sure we'll have some elected officials joining people on the protest line, homemade signs, make some noise, be part of a pretty historic-sized protest, which will hopefully get a lot of buzz and be copied across the country. And, more protests in June, and they really do matter.
I agree. Thank you so much for all the work you do. Again, the chair of the DuPage County Democrats, Reid McCollum. We look forward to talking to you every month. And if anything comes up between now and then, maybe we'll talk to you before the May 18th protest, too, so that folks can learn more about where they can join you and join us.
Thanks so much, Pat.
Of course. My pleasure. Have a good evening, my friend.
You too. Bye.
Thanks. Bye. Again, folks, for the website, it's DuPageDemocrats.com. We'll take a break here and continue our conversation when we come back on WCPT 820 and 1150 KKNW in Seattle, Washington.
A Better Life with Dr. Sanjay Gupta.
There is a troubling trend I want to tell you about. Younger women being diagnosed with cancer more often than they used to. According to a new report by the American Cancer Society, cancer diagnoses are shifting from older to younger adults and from men to women. Young women are now nearly twice as likely to be diagnosed with the disease as young men. Breast and thyroid cancers are what's driving this. Now, why? Well, experts think it's a few things: obesity, lack of physical activity, alcohol consumption, and even changes in fertility patterns. Now, the good news, while the rate of diagnoses is up, death rates are largely coming down. And that's due to better screening tools, more effective treatments. And don't forget, early detection is going to be key with any cancer. So don't put off those mammograms or other recommended appointments. I'm Dr. Sanjay Gupta, helping you live a better life.
Lowe's helps refresh your garden in time for Mother's Day. Right now, get 5 bags of 1.5 cubic foot Scott's Naturescapes mulch for just $10. Plus, select 1.5 gallon annuals hanging baskets make the perfect gift. Now 2 for only $15. The best garden starts with great deals. Lowe's, we help, you save. Valid through 5/7. Selection varies by location. While supplies last. Discount taken at time of purchase.
At Straight Talk, we are all about no-brainers. Calling Grandma for her recipe, no-brainer. Streaming one more episode at 2 a.m., big no-brainer. Getting real unlimited data where you buy bananas, the ultimate no-brainer. Switch now and get a free Samsung Galaxy A16 5G or Moto G Power 5G 2024 with select plans. Straight Talk, real unlimited data. Available at Walmart and straighttalk.com. Offer valid through 5/19/25. Taxes and fees apply. Requires in-source single line activation on qualifying plan. For network management practices, visit straighttalk.com/terms. Copyright 2025 Verizon.
WCPT 820, Chicago's progressive talk, where facts matter.
Patti Vasquez is taking your calls now.
We need to speak out about this.
At 773-763-9278.
Hello.
It's Driving It Home with Patti Vasquez.
We are driving it home, and I want to remind folks we would love if you also called and maybe leave a message for us as we celebrate our 20 years on the air here at WCPT. We want to hear your WCPT story. You can call 773-467-8202 today and leave a voicemail. We'll be playing some of the messages on the air. Again, that number is 773-467-8202, and my voice, I will be guiding you through leaving a message and sharing your memories with us. And for this Saturday, I can't believe it's April just went so fast that we have our anniversary upon us. If you have a ticket for WCPT's anniversary broadcast at Mex and Benny's this Saturday, May 3rd at 11 a.m., the doors are opening at 10:30, and we look forward to seeing you. If you don't have a ticket, we hope you'll tune in between 11 and 3. You'll hear Hal Sparks, who, by the way, will be joining me on Friday, and I believe Stephanie Miller is going to join us on the phone on Friday to share some memories of joining she was here before we were with Air America, so but WCPT's been here for 20 years. Well, you know what I mean. Anyway, she'll be joining us. Of course, Richard Chu, Scott Duff, Jonas Bazito, and we're going to all be broadcasting with live guests. The event is sponsored by Max and Benny's, Fazio Insurance, Smart 265, the Democratic Party of Kane County, Southland Friends of Labor, the Democratic Party of McHenry County Democratic Women, and ABOC. So we look forward to that live broadcast. I was talking earlier about the judge that ruled today that the Alien Enemies Act, and this is a judge that was appointed by Donald Trump, so I'll be curious to see. My guess is they're going to find a reason to say, well, because of his Latino name, that's why that he's an activist judge at the bench. But he has ruled that the Alien Enemies Act does not give the president the authority to abduct and deport, and I love that as a way of framing it. In the act, the judge has determined that the act is only applicable in times of war. This is again Fernando Rodriguez Jr., who is the judge that made this decision today, and he noted that we are not at war with Venezuela. Who do we have to tell that to? And it doesn't matter what the administration claims. It doesn't matter how they try to paint it. And I get it. We don't want criminals. I know that when families of victims or survivors of homicide gather and they demand justice, we all demand justice when violence happens to us or to our families. And I will tell you, as a homicide survivor, and I didn't even know that was a term until a few years ago, meaning that I had a family member who was murdered, and it's a very strange population to be a part of, and I've never understood, I guess, when we've weaponized immigration to say, what if only I get that it is such a unthinkable act when we lose somebody to violence, and we want to know what we could have done. We obviously want justice to be served, but to treat all people who are here, whether it's undocumented, and a lot of the people that are being deported, that are being abducted, many of them are here legally. There are people who are here legally. So in order to paint this broad brush across everybody who came to this country in order to find work and a better life for themselves and their families, we are using the personal tragedies in order to harm more people. And I tried saying this so many times, like imagine if I hated every overweight white guy because that was the kind of person that killed my brother. Like, is that how I'm supposed to operate? And here's the thing. He was a white guy who was given cover by the group of people he ran with. So am I supposed to be angry at it's just I know that there are a million different decisions that we make throughout our lives that perhaps we end up in the wrong place at the wrong time with someone who's going to hurt us. I myself am a survivor. And it makes me so angry that then we are willing to hurt people because we are hurt. I guess that's what it is, right? It is because we hurt. We want to hurt others, but others are just intolerant. They want to control. They want this country to look a certain way. They certainly don't want things to be more expensive. And it's not just the price of goods that's going up. As we have labor shortages, we should be paying people not just a minimum wage, but a thriving wage. Not even just a livable wage, but the amount of wealth that is being amassed by these billionaires and on their path to be trillionaires like Bezos and Musk. Come on now. We are fighting amongst each other for the crumbs that are being left behind by the people that are determining what is owed to us, what we pay into, whether it's Social Security or Medicare, Medicaid, all the support services that we have come to. And has it been? We can all agree that it's not run perfectly. That I wish that we had better ways of managing these systems, and I think that but certainly destroying them makes it impossible. I don't even know how we come back for this. I don't know. It makes it impossible to see a way forward to recover from this. And the more people that stand up and demand better, the more people that show up at town halls, that show up at protests, that demand that our democracy, and for the people who are like, we don't live in a democracy, we live in a republic, which is a form of democracy. We have a representational government. To get in arguments with folks. Let me go back to reading some of the announcements. So I am going to have after the 6 o'clock break, we're going to talk to one of the board members from One Aim. I am also a board member of One Aim, and our mission is to make sure that we are having conversations around gun violence and how we end gun violence. And we are going to have a day of action in Springfield. And maybe this is if you guys want to come to Springfield, I mean, I can tell you that I'll meet you there. I don't know if I can go that day. It's May 20th. Is our day of action in Springfield. We're going to talk to a board member from One Aim in just a few moments and learn more about what it means to go down to Springfield. A lot of different groups go down there and they talk to the legislators. They give speeches. You talk to survivors of gun violence. And it's really a time to make sure we're amplifying and elevating the efforts of ending gun violence here in the state of Illinois and, of course, beyond our state borders. So coming up in just a little bit, we're going to talk to Robert Emmons, who's going to tell us a little bit more about that event. I really do encourage you, whether it's for an issue that is near and dear to you, I encourage you to go to Springfield to sit in the gallery, to hear how they talk about the issues that are most important to you. And it's hard. It's hard to hear people be dismissive. In particular, I'm going to tell you, I think that my politics were solidified in 2015. I've been a Democrat for as long as I know, and as long as I've known much about politics at all. I've been a Democrat, and I have had my moments where I used to vote split ticket, and I would vote on the issues, and that was more in the 90s. I was considering John McCain when he was running in the primary in 2000. But I will say that what I saw in Springfield in 2015, when I saw Republicans just scoff at the fact that people who have children with disabilities, that they had the gall to show up in Springfield and say, your policies are hurting my child, they're hurting my family, they're hurting my community. And they said things like, move on. It's done. They'd cut the funding. And that, I will tell you, going and sitting in those rooms, if you want to see where your politics a line. Go to your state capital and see how each side fights for the issues that you find important, whether it's the environment, whether it's gun violence, abortion rights, health care. Go watch, and there are ways to track the bills. You can go to ilga.gov, ilga.com. That sounds for Illinois General Assembly.gov, right? So you can get, like, if you want to Google, like, different issues, what bill, or call your legislator's office and say what bills are coming up. And if you watch, and you don't even have to go to Springfield, there are ways to watch committee hearings. Listen to, that's, I think, the best way to find out where your as for me, I was done, absolutely done with the GOP, hearing how they dismissed families of whether people with disabilities themselves testifying, or the parents, or the caregivers, the providers. Yeah, I was done. Let's take a break here, and when we come back, we're going to talk to board member of One AIM. We're going to talk to Rob Emmons in just a moment on WCPT 820, Heartland Signal, and KKNW 1150 in Seattle, Washington.
Thanks to our loyal WCPT listeners, the WCPT 20th anniversary broadcast is officially sold out. But you can still enjoy the broadcast by listening to WCPT Radio on Saturday, May 3rd from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. Hal Sparks will kick things off at 11 a.m., then hand it off to WCPT hosts Richard Chu, Joan Esposito, Patti Vasquez, and Scott Duff at 1 o'clock. Surprise guests from WCPT's 20-year history will also join us. Scroll through 20 years of WCPT Radio with legendary interviews, shows, and pictures on the WCPT 820 website. WCPT's live broadcast is sponsored by Max and Benny's Restaurant in Northbrook, Fazio Insurance, Smart 265, Kane County Dems, Southland Friends of Labor, Democratic Party of McHenry County, and McHenry County Democratic Women. It's the WCPT 20th anniversary live broadcast Saturday, May 3rd from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. Only on WCPT 820, Chicago's only progressive talk radio station for 20 years.
Give your liver the support it needs with Active Liver. Go to newnordicusa.com, Amazon, or ask for Active Liver at your local CVS. New you, new Nordic.
AP News, I'm Ben Thomas. The first major shakeup of President Trump's new administration, Sucker Magani lays it out.
The president says he's nominating National Security Advisor Mike Waltz to be UN ambassador. The new acting NSA?
When I have a problem, I call up Marco. He gets it solved.
Secretary of State Marco Rubio, who will stay in his current job, too. The president announced the switch on social media after news broke that Waltz and his deputy were leaving the administration. Weeks after it was revealed Waltz added a journalist to a Signal chat used to discuss military plans. Pentagon Chief Pete Hegseth has been under fire for his role in sharing sensitive strike information on that same chat. Sagar Magani at the White House.
In Ukraine, Moscow appointed officials in the Kherson region claim a Ukrainian drone attack killed 7 and wounded more than 20. Meanwhile, a Russian drone attack on Odessa killed 2 people and injured 15, striking residential buildings, a school, and a supermarket. A federal judge has barred the Trump administration from deporting Venezuelans from South Texas under the Alien Enemies Act. Meantime, the Trump administration's asked the Supreme Court to strip temporary legal protections from 350,000 Venezuelans. That could expose them to being deported. And Haya Panjwani reports more than 1,100 people have been arrested in a week-long operation in Florida.
This is the largest immigration enforcement operation
Governor Ron DeSantis
that we've seen in quite some time throughout the entire country.
Officials credit local police departments and state agencies for joining President Trump's drive for mass deportations. Agencies from all of Florida's 67 counties have signed agreements that push state and local officials to enforce immigration laws. Opponents say the local and state agreements violate a clause in the U.S. Constitution that makes federal authorities responsible for immigration issues. I'm Haya Panjwani.
This is AP News. 2 Game 6s in the NBA playoffs tonight. Knicks up on the Pistons. Nuggets trying to eliminate the Clippers. Last night, the Lakers bowed out to the Timberwolves.
LeBron James isn't ready to make any decisions about his future in the painful moments immediately after his 22nd NBA season ended with the Lakers' first-round playoff exit.
I don't know. I don't have an answer to that.
The top scorer in NBA history was non-committal about whether he will return for a record-breaking 23rd season.
Something I'll sit down with my family, my wife, and and my support group and kind of just talk through it and see what happens.
The 40-year-old James has given no public indication that he is thinking about retirement this year. James provided no further hints after recording 22 points, 7 rebounds, and 6 assists in the Lakers' 103-96 loss to the Timberwolves.
And then just have a conversation with myself on how long I want to continue to play.
I'm Gethin Coolbaugh.
And I'm Ben Thomas, AP News. Thanks for listening.
This is 820 AM, WCPT Willow Springs, and streaming worldwide at WCPT820.com. We are Chicago's progressive talk, where facts matter. Now, your WCPT 820 weather update.
I'm meteorologist Ray Miller from the Weatherology Weather Center. Scattered showers and thunderstorms tonight with a low temperature around 48 degrees. Friday, cloudy with a chance of thunderstorms and a high around 60 degrees. Saturday, look for partly cloudy skies and a high at 51 with north winds at 10 to 20. Sunday, cloudy with a chance of showers and a high temperature around 57 degrees. On Monday, we'll see a chance of showers once again with a high temperature of 58 degrees. That's the latest Chicago weather update. Right now, it's 64.
With MedGuard Alert, you're never alone. You can connect with medical professionals anywhere, anytime. And now MedGuard is introducing our exclusive new Care Watch. If you need help quickly, use it from anywhere to contact medical professionals. No cell phone required. The Care Watch is not only a life-saving medical alert device, it's a revolutionary health monitoring system that checks your blood pressure, heart rate, oxygen saturation, and much more. And here's the best part. If you have Medicaid, you may qualify to get your Care Watch for free. The Care Watch is only available through MedGuard Alert. Call us right now. We have monitoring programs starting as low as $1 a day. The call is free, activation is free, shipping is free, and no contract is required. Remember, with Medicaid, you may qualify to get your Care Watch for free. Call us to get your Care Watch right now.
800-741-5819. 800-741-5819. 800-741-5819. That's 800-741-5819.
This is WCPT 820, where facts matter.
Driving it home with Patti Vasquez, Patti Vasquez. From global conflicts to greenhouse gases, the folks refusing to wear masks says, and politicians getting caught grabbing ass says, she's driving it home with Patti Vasquez.
Thank you so much for joining us as we continue to drive it home. And we want to say hello to our friends listening in the evenings on KTNF AM 950 Minneapolis, St. Paul, the progressive voice of Minnesota, as well as our friends listening in Seattle, Washington on 1150 KKNW, the alternative talk of Seattle. And I know that a lot of times I talk about things that are local to Chicago, to Illinois, but so many of the issues that we discuss are important across the country and around the world. But in particular, this issue, which is One Aim. I'm a board member of One Aim, Illinois, and our mission is to end gun violence. Joining me on the line is fellow board member Robert Emmons, who is who's going to talk to us about our Day of Advocacy in Springfield and the mission of One Aim. How are you doing today, Robert? Oh, hold on a second.
Okay, you have the best intro music of all time. I love it.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much for joining us. Well, first of all, tell us about yourself, my friend. Where did you grow up?
Sure. I grew up on the south side of Chicago, Auburn, Gresham, to be specific, and again on Chicago's south side. It's truly a part of my heart and soul, so it's helped grow me and make me.
I hear you, and you know, we all come to our service at One Aim from different experiences, from different perspectives. Tell us a little bit about your involvement with One Aim.
Absolutely. So I'm the organizing consultant with One Aim, Illinois. And I got my start in gun violence because I unfortunately lost a friend and college roommate to gun violence. And the thing that made me the most upset is that, statistically speaking, his death was predictable. It was predictable because we had a failing education system. It was predictable because we had inadequacies in our healthcare system. It was predictable because of environmental injustice and racism that runs rampant in Chicago. But as predictable as his murder was, it was also 100% preventable, and it's preventable for in ways in which organizations like One Aim are advocating for, like the Safe at Home bill that's going to save lives, like the Homicide Families Victims' Rights Act and data transparency, pushing the fully fund CDI work. That's how you prevent murders. We know what works. We just have to implement these policies, and that's what One Aim is all about.
And I appreciate that so much. And I know that as a fellow Illini,
oh yeah,
I where in Champaign-Urbana did you live, in the dorms at least to start?
So I started off in the six-pack, Hopkins Hall, which I'm not even sure if it's still around at this point. That was some years ago. And then I moved over to ISR, the Illinois State Street Residence Hall, ISR.
Yep, I lived at Allen Hall, so not too far from ISR.
Allen, not far at all. Not far at all. Just a bus ride, 22 Illini bus away.
Exactly. I know that you studied political science. Did you? I studied history as pre-law, but I never ended up going to law school. Was that something you were also interested in pursuing?
You know, Pat, I think we have the same track record. So I studied political science with the hope of going to law school, and then I realized pretty quickly that law school wasn't for me, and I decided to go straight into it after graduating college, just working in not the social impact space.
Well, and I love that you also work with Dion's Dreams, because we've had Dion Dawson on our show before. So you are really committed to helping the community and supporting the people who need it the most. And when we talk about gun violence, I know in Chicago, the expectation when we hear about gun violence on the news, people in my community on the far northwest side assume it's going to be someplace that has more street violence, and it's sort of, I feel as though a lot of people kind of write it off, but it really affects every single one of us, doesn't it?
It does. You know, bullets don't care about zip code. They don't care about whether you're a Republican or a Democrat. They don't care whether you're a young person or an old person. It impacts us all, and it's one of the greatest epidemics we've ever faced in the history of our country. 100,000 Americans per year are shot and 40,000 killed. It's an epidemic, and we have to solve it. We have no other choice.
Which, again, is the mission of One Aim. So tell folks about One Aim and how they can get involved.
For sure. So One Aim is Illinois' largest coalition of gun violence prevention and community violence intervention organizations. We have 225 organizations that make up the coalition, the One Aim Illinois Coalition. It's Black-led by our amazing executive director, Yolanda Androza. We advocate for policy that will change lives, and we also educate the general public on ways in which we can make our communities that much safer.
And for folks who don't live in Illinois, there's organizations like this all over the country where it really is about making sure that your own General Assembly, that your state legislature is doing the work to keep people safe, right?
Exactly. There are organizations doing incredible work all across this country. I'm just honored to be a part of one organization doing a lot of work here in Illinois.
What is some of the legislation that we are focused on and that people should know about? They should be calling their legislators and finding out where they stand on issues.
The one we're emphasizing here at One Aim Illinois is Senate Bill 8, House Bill 3688, which is the Safe at Home bill. There are too many tragedies that have resulted when guns get into the hands of children, at-risk people, and criminals. And there are tons and tons and tons of studies that show that unsecured firearms and lost and stolen guns are fueling incidents of suicide, unintentional shootings, mass shootings, and crime in our community. With 54% of gun owners don't lock their guns securely. Every year, 350 children under the age of 18 unintentionally shoot themselves or others. And 3/4 of all mass shootings, school shootings, the shooter acquires the firearm from their parents or other relatives. There's that old African saying, instead of saying, hi, how are you? They say, how are the kids? In America, the kids aren't doing great. So we're advocating for the Safe at Home bill so we can better promote responsible gun ownership in Illinois by enhancing what it means to safely store weapons and strengthening reporting requirements for lost and stolen guns. Safe and secure storage practices help prevent guns from being stolen, diverted into illegal markets, and used in gun crimes. The Safe at Home bill will prevent children, at-risk individuals, and criminals from accessing deadly firearms and inflicting crime and violence within our community. So as big as the problem is, we have an even greater, more resounding solution, and that's Senate Bill 8. We're going to be headed down to Springfield, Illinois on May 20th. We're bringing our entire coalition down there to demand our state lawmakers to pass this bill because it will undoubtedly save lives.
I agree. And for folks who want to learn more, first of all, how to get involved, maybe learn more about One AIM, everyone can go to oneaimil.org. That's oneaimil.org. And for the Day of Advocacy in Springfield, because some folks, I know, we want to invite people from all over the state, but there is a way to get down there from the Chicagoland area with the group, right?
Absolutely. So exactly what you just said, Patty. Go to oneaimil.org. Then go down to the tab where it says events, and you'll see our Advocacy Day. We're having buses leaving from the Chicagoland area, but look, we can make some more stops downstate. We want to make sure this umbrella is as wide as possible. We're offering $50 stipends to all advocates 30 or below and survivors of gun violence. We're providing food, transportation. We want to make this as accessible as possible, again, so we can show because there's power in people. So we want to make sure our people are down there in Springfield so our state lawmakers can see just how powerful we are.
And I was down there last year, and there are survivors, there are family members, and this is really impactful, having the opportunity to not just speak to your own legislators, but to also watch the process. Have you had the opportunity to sit in the gallery watching a legislation that's important to you be debated?
Oh, yeah, it's so cool to see democracy in action. Civic engagement isn't so much what you do on voting day, but what you do every other day of the year. So I highly, highly, highly recommend people get involved with their local governments to see how government works and should work for the people. And then also just showing your state legislators that you care and that you matter and your voice needs to be heard is so critical in passing bills. It can't be overstated enough how important it is to show face down in Springfield and to show face in Minneapolis and all the other spots that that you represent, Patty.
I agree. And folks, this is so if you join us in Springfield on May 20th, you guys we're going down and coming back the same day. So this isn't like, you take a whole block of time, right?
Exactly. I got my daughter in the car right now, so she's expecting me home by 6 o'clock.
Uh-oh.
So yeah, we'll be back in the Chicagoland by 6 o'clock, leaving from Springfield.
That's fantastic. Well, I'm really looking forward to it. And again, folks, you can go to oneaimil.org to sign up. And there's also an opportunity for young folks under 30 to have a stipend for that day. Is that right?
Exactly. A $50 stipend to all advocates 30 or below, and also survivors of gun violence will also get that $50 stipend.
Yeah, folks, I really encourage you to do this event, especially if you're passionate about ending gun violence. This is a way to make sure our voices are heard loud and clear. And believe me, you will be surprised at the process and what impact you can have by just looking a legislator in the eyes and telling them how important this is. Is there anything else you want to make sure people know about, my friend?
Yeah, and we're also we're of course going down there and with the emphasis of the Safe at Home bill, but we're also advocating for other legislation like the Homicide Families Victims' Rights Act and the Data Transparency Bill, as well as putting pressure on our country to begin fully funding, to start over funding CVI work, because what we're seeing in the Trump administration is the defunding of critical life-saving measures and funding for organizations that are doing the work on the ground that are saving lives within our community. So we're also advocating to fully fund the community violence intervention work that started some years ago. But, with Trump taking away its money, it's going to truly hurt. So we got to show force. We got to show power.
I really appreciate all the work that you're doing. And with that, with those pieces of legislation, what do you encourage folks to do? Is calling, emailing their legislator, other legislators? What's the most effective way of communicating their voices?
Yeah, email your legislators, call your district offices, schedule meetings in district. You don't always have to go to the Capitol. You can also schedule meetings right there in your district. Bring your neighbors, bring your family, bring your friends, and show those legislators and tell those legislators what you'd like to see them do when they're down in Springfield as they're passing legislation that will save our lives. We have to stay on them. But they for the most part, our legislators here in Illinois truly care about their constituents, so you just have to make sure that they know what you stand for.
Well, it's a pleasure to work with you again, Robert Emmons Jr. He's our organizer with One AIM. Go to oneaimil.org, and I look forward to seeing you in Springfield, my friend.
I look forward to seeing you too.
All right, have a good evening and get home to your family. Thank you and tell them thank you for your time.
All right, thank you.
Take care. Thank you. Bye-bye. Also, really, I want to thank our sponsors for making sure that we can get these messages out for organizations like One AIM. We want to thank our friends at Source Solar. Go to source.solar and make an appointment. Maybe it's time to get solar panels on your house or business and join over 100,000 happy customers in the Chicagoland area. And I'll be broadcasting next Tuesday. No, not next Tuesday. What day is today? May 1st. So 12 days from today. So almost 2 weeks, actually. So on May 13th, I will be in Madison broadcasting from the tap room of Wisconsin State Capitol from the Minocqua Brewing Company. So Kirk Bangstead is putting together a great event, and you can go to MinocquaBrewingCompany.com, sign up for the newsletter. You can check out the piece that I wrote this week. Every week I write a column along with some other great writers. Support the work that we do there and join us for a great live broadcast. On June 5th, I will be performing comedy with my good friends Paul Farvar, Kimberly Marion, and Chris Barnes. It's June 5th at the Greenhouse Theater. It's Stand Up for Kids. Go to kidsabovall.org and buy your tickets or support their mission in any way you can to help children live happy, healthy, safe lives. More in a moment on WCPT 820, KTNF AM 950, and 1150 KKNW.
Thanks to our loyal WCPT listeners, the WCPT 20th anniversary broadcast is officially sold out. But you can still enjoy the broadcast by listening to WCPT Radio on Saturday, May 3rd from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. Hal Sparks will kick things off at 11 a.m., then hand it off to WCPT hosts Richard Chu, Joan Esposito, Patti Vasquez, and Scott Duff at 1 o'clock. Surprise guests from WCPT's 20-year history will also join us. Scroll through 20 years of WCPT Radio with legendary interviews, shows, and pictures on the WCPT 820 website. WCPT's live broadcast is sponsored by Max and Benny's Restaurant in Northbrook, Fazio Insurance, Smart 265, Kane County Dems, Southland Friends of Labor, Democratic Party of McHenry County, and McHenry County Democratic Women. It's the WCPT 20th anniversary live broadcast Saturday, May 3rd from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. Only on WCPT 820, Chicago's only progressive talk radio station for 20 years.
Are you looking for more in this world? Are you ready for something bigger? Then we are looking for you. The big-hearted, the bold, the messy and the gutsy. The teachers, the growers, the builders. The skilled, the sharers, the change makers. We need you. We are the Peace Corps. In more than 60 countries, we go all in and all out. We are volunteers, partners, communities, working together, living together, bringing our experience, passion, and joy to building a better world together. From tackling climate change in Mexico to keeping kids healthy in Kenya, from sustainable farming in the Philippines to education in Kosovo. We learn more, give more, share freely, and serve boldly. Are you ready to tackle the tough stuff? To go the distance to make a difference? Then we have a place where you belong. Join us at peacecorps.gov.
You're listening to WCPT 820 because facts matter.
If you're listening to this station right now, you've definitely heard my voice before. Hi, I'm Hawk.
And I'm Pete. And we're with Source Solar, your local source for solar. Source Solar is Chicagoland's premier solar installer, providing solutions for over 1,000 homeowners and business owners across Illinois and Iowa.
With over a decade of industry experience and deep roots here in Chicago, we have the expertise to help your transition to clean, renewable, resilient energy.
We can guarantee that we save you money day one without any out-of-pocket cost to you. This means you have an instant ROI, instant payback, and can save money to add to your bottom line day one.
At Source Solar, we source everything as local as possible, meaning we always carry the Made in USA sticker.
Find us online at www.source.solar. Stop in our office at 5710 North Northwest Highway or give us a call at 773-985-3992.
And don't forget to ask for Hawk
or Pete.
Patti Vasquez is taking your calls now.
All right, let's hit it.
At 773-763-9278.
I got a lot to say.
He's driving it home with Patti Vasquez.
Yes, we'd love to hear from you. What's on your mind today? I feel like with the raucous celebration of the president's 100 days and claiming all these successes, we haven't heard a lot as much from Musk, or maybe we have, and there's so much noise. But I know that there's so many people who think that Musk is this hero and he's saving all this money, he's cutting all this fraud and waste. Do you guys know that how much do you think the federal government has spent in the first 100 days, or at least in the first 4 months of 2025 in comparison to the first 4 months of 2024? Just out of curiosity, I don't think all these people who are excited about saving money. I'd like to know why. Well, 773-763-9278. I don't have any prizes to give away, so I don't know if I should make it a contest. So I'll just tell you that in the first 100 days compared to the same time period last year, this administration has spent $200 billion more. $200 billion more. Journalists have analyzed the Treasury Department's daily financial reports, and they've tracked the money flowing out of every government account each day since Trump has been in office. And what they found out is that since the beginning of the year, since he took office, they've spent $200 billion more than last year, despite their Department of Government Efficiency and their so-called belt tightening. Yeah, they have not. You're not going to get any rebate checks. First of all, remember for a couple days, everyone was excited. I think someone mentioned, I don't know if it was Musk or somebody. Oh, I think we're going to be able to get you all $5,000 checks, and then everybody on social media was like, well, it shouldn't go to the commies because they don't think Musk should be there saving our money. They're not. Not only that, they're not only are they costing more money through all the different agencies that's more expensive. One, they're paying people to not work, right? They're putting them on administrative leave. There are people in D.C., thousands of people who they want to eliminate their positions, but they're not firing them right away. Some people they've fired. Some people they fired and had to hire back, which cost money. Some people they've put on administrative leave to not work, but still get paid through September. Of course, this is adding up, but no one. Why aren't more outlets reporting this? I mean, this is from CBS News. Who knows? And MSNBC. Who knows how long that'll last? Since we know that CBS is afraid to really keep ringing the alarm bells, considering they have a deal with Paramount looming, that they want to make sure that the administration is going to be favorable toward. But as we've learned, anybody who bends the knee, he just keeps asking for more, right? Anyway, the national debt is growing. There's paired with the higher interest rates, a daily price tag of paying interest on the debt, which continues to go up. I thought these people were all about controlling the debt, not with it escalating. I thought that was always the deal. Anyway, and then of course there's all the money that they have to spend on legal challenges, trying to get so many of their policies through without taking the time to find out if it just because you can do something, first of all, right? They feel like they can just cut jobs, eliminate programs, suspend grants. And for a while, there's so much that happens so quickly. Do you even remember when they were clawing money back out of accounts? Like just going into the banks and going, yeah, the government's we're going to impound that. This is just absolutely insane. I have not heard all of the speech that Governor Pritzker gave the other day, and I see on my board I have some audio, and I know this is from the speech he gave, I'm guessing in New Hampshire. I did not hear this one. I'm kind of curious about what I have some buttons in front of me that I want to push. This one, it says Pritzker habeas corpus. Let's see what it says.
It's wrong to snatch a person off the street and ship them to a foreign gulag.
Yes.
With no chance to defend themselves in a court of law. And I want to be clear, this is not an argument about immigration. This is an argument about the Constitution. Remember, Trump just last week arrested and deported 3 children under 8 years old, all U.S. citizens, all of them. One of them, a 4-year-old with stage 4 cancer. Let that sink in. This country was founded on the idea of habeas corpus. It's a fancy legal term that in plain words means no government has a right to arbitrarily take your freedom away from you. Preserving habeas corpus is not some fever dream of the left-wing echo chamber. It's a fundamental concept of justice that people have fought and died for dating back to the Middle Ages. It was in the Magna Carta. It was considered by our nation's founders to be so vital to our liberty that they wrote it right into the Constitution. Thomas Jefferson called it the essential principle of government. Benjamin Franklin opined that those who would give up habeas corpus for temporary security deserve neither liberty nor security. And Alexander Hamilton wrote that the practice of arbitrary imprisonments has been, in all the ages, the favorite and most formidable instruments of tyranny. Franklin, Jefferson, Hamilton. Standing for the idea that the government doesn't have the right to kidnap you without due process is arguably the most effective campaign slogan in history. It's the OG of political messaging.
Yeah, you would think that for all these people, isn't it amazing how these people who talk about the Constitution, our Bill of Rights, and the Founding Fathers refuse to acknowledge that so much of what this administration does and wants to accomplish flies in the face of what our Founding Fathers intended, right? And this was the argument that these were the kinds of arguments that Abraham Lincoln had ahead of running for president. After he lost his race in the for re-election, I believe he lost against Stephen Douglas, and was he was prepared to kind of just slink away until he was approached about joining this new party called the Republican Party because he had been a Whig, and he would give these speeches about what the Founding Fathers intended when it came to slavery. He was so particular about what the language said and what the intention was. And, everybody who seems to, scream about the Second Amendment, what rights that gives them, ignore so much of what the text actually says, not just for that, but also for due process, for so many different parts of our Constitution that they are now so eager to inflict pain, to have people kidnapped without due process and sent to a gulag is absolutely unconscionable. Let's take a break here. Let me know what's on your mind. 773-763-9278. That's 773-763-9278. More in a moment on WCPT, KKNW, and KTNF.
You're listening to WCPT 820. Here's the latest Chicago weather update.
I'm meteorologist Ray Miller from the Weatherology Weather Center. Scattered showers and thunderstorms tonight with a low temperature around 48 degrees. Friday, cloudy with a chance of thunderstorms and a high around 60 degrees. Saturday, look for partly cloudy skies and a high at 51 with north winds at 10 to 20. Sunday, cloudy with a chance of showers and a high temperature around 57 degrees. On Monday, we'll see a chance of showers once again with a high temperature of 58 degrees. That's the latest Chicago weather update. Right now, it's 65.
This is Chicago's Progressive Talk, 820 AM, WCPT Willow Springs, and online at WCPT820.com, where facts matter.
Those headaches and stomach aches your child gets may be migraine. 10% of children and 28% of adolescents have migraine disease. Migraine at School can help. Learn more at migraineatschool.org. As a parent, I know how migraine impacts my daughter's ability to learn. Every child deserves the chance to flourish in school. Visit migraineatschool.org. Sponsored by the Coalition for Headache and Migraine Patients.
Teachers are dynamic leaders, shaping a new generation. They bring a variety of perspectives from diverse backgrounds, innovating how they teach to prepare students for our fast-changing world. Achieving this takes skill and expertise. They're tireless explorers, creatively discovering a universe of solutions, telling stories, experimenting, inspiring, mentoring, connecting cultures, and connecting with each other. Leading by example. Experience the unique joy of helping students thrive. Teaching is a journey that shapes lives. Are you ready to begin? Explore teaching at teach.org, a campaign supported by the U.S. Department of Education, teach.org, and 1 million teachers of color.
Alexa, play WCPT.
WCPT from TuneIn.
Hi, this is Patti Vasquez. We appreciate all our fans of Driving It Home, and your support of show sponsor Minocqua Brewing Company ensures that our important conversations continue right here on WCPT each weekday from 5 to 7 p.m. You can now find the Resistance IPA, Labor Lager, or the Resistance Pilsner beer at several Illinois locations, including Arminetti Wine and Spirits in Woodstock, Pineapple and Company in North Riverside, Lions Beverage Depot in Arlington Heights, and MP's Liquor, Wine, and Beer in North Aurora. For a full list of Chicagoland locations, please visit MinocquaBrewingCompany.com. As always, please vote and drink responsibly.
Patti Vasquez is taking your calls now.
All right, let's hit it.
At 773-763-9278.
I got a lot to say.
It's Driving It Home with Patti Vasquez.
Thank you for joining us as we continue to drive it home. We want to say hello to our friends listening in the evenings on KKNW 1150, Seattle, Washington, as well as our friends in Minneapolis, St. Paul, listening on KTNF AM 950. And we're broadcasting here in Chicago on WCPT 820 Heartland Signal. Hello to our friends watching on Facebook. You can also listen to us on the TuneIn app for free. And all of our shows are podcasts. You can listen to, rate, and share the Driving It Home full episodes and featured interviews, all available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, TuneIn, iHeartRadio, YouTube, and Amazon. You can search for it by typing in Driving It Home with Patti Vasquez, or get the links on the show page by visiting heartlandsignal.com, and you see my face there, and just click right on that to get the podcast. Jim is calling in from Chicago. Hey, Jim, what's on your mind? My friend, good to hear from you again.
Yeah, I hate to be a radio hog. I know you got great callers, Peg. But the expression 100 days comes from 1933 when FDR... That's where the expression came, 1933. What are the first 100 days of the presidency?
Uh-huh.
And in his presidency, 12 of the things that he passed were passed by the House of Representatives. And in fact, he went on the radio maybe after 100 days and explained that this was all constitutional. And, he explained it perfectly to the people. Now, this guy's first 100 days is just the absolute total opposite of that, because I think he's passed, I don't know, I think Roosevelt's was 99, but I think he's 140 or something along those lines. And I don't think the Republican House is, as far as I know, maybe they passed 5 bills, but even those are obscure. I don't even know what those are.
That's a good point.
So my point is, what FDR did was constitutional. What he's doing isn't constitutional. We all know that, but we have to suffer. Anyway, I don't want to take up too much time, Billy. I know you got great calls.
No, I appreciate it. Actually, I'm trying to see what bills Republicans have. They didn't do anything under Biden either. They got jack squat done.
No, I know that, but Biden did get terrific bills passed for the first with the Pelosi. Let's face it, that was a marvelous bit of statesmanship there. But and then the other thing, Kenny, real quick, was Bernie Sanders said it perfectly the other day. He goes, "We want single-payer health care. We want to go into the doctor's office with no paperwork, any citizen of the United States, and get treated for free."
Right.
You get the picture? I mean, really. I mean, the civilization has to come to that point at some time. Anyway, enough of my point.
Thanks, Jim.
I mean, thank you.
Appreciate it. Yeah. I will say, I mean, I've for years have been just so frustrated with our lack of energy, of urgency when it comes to healthcare. I have been afraid of how much going to the doctor, going to the hospital costs since I was 12 years old. When I was 12, I got a stomach ache, and I was just violently ill all day. I had a fever, and finally the doctor told my parents to take me to the emergency room, and I was afraid because I was like, am I sick enough to cost this much money? Can you imagine being 12 years old and being afraid that you're sick and you don't want your parents? I mean, it was 1983, and I knew that it was expensive to go to the doctor. That we haven't moved the needle on making sure that Americans, that people have the basic right of access to health care. I do believe it's a human right, as is having shelter and food. our legislators, our lawmakers, be that as it may, they had 2 weeks of a recess and are now back in D.C. And they got all these committees. They start hashing out how they're going to make all these cuts. The Republicans are working on how to make sure this big, great, beautiful Trump agenda is going to be accomplished, and they have to start working on that budget, right? Which they want to extend the 2017 tax cuts, which benefited the wealthiest right out the gate. They're just not getting any around that. They want to extend that. They want to expand it. They want to boost funding for immigration enforcement and the military, and they want to increase the debt ceiling, folks. Yeah, they want to increase the debt ceiling. All these conservatives who are like, I have to be careful with our money. We've spent $200 billion more in the first 4 months of 2025 than the Biden administration did in 2024. And they're about to raise the debt ceiling to pay for this great, big, beautiful agenda that Trump wants to accomplish. One of the things they want to, they have this whole idea that they're going to cut $880 billion out of what they say. It's just the transportation. It's just, but that is the discretionary funding for Medicare and Medicaid, which is basically the only place they have left. Meaning there are things that absolutely have to be paid for that they can't cut, and the only place that is considered discretionary, and why it's still considered that is under the transportation. And these other places where they say they have to make these cuts from. They also want to overhaul the student loans. You've heard for days now how they're going to garnish wages. They are demanding that you pay all the back pay. They want to cut. They want to have an overhaul of the student loan programs. And I get they're trying to play it off as like we've got to make some tough decisions, but I don't know how they're gonna corral all of the Republicans in order to get their agenda through. I know they want to end a lot of the incentives for buying EVs, electric vehicles. Although they do have these $5 million gold card visas. I guess that's one way they're going to try to make some money. We'll see. Oh, is it Debrell in Chicago? Hello, this is Patty.
Hi, Patty. How you doing?
I'm doing all right. How about yourself? What's on your mind, my friend?
A couple quick hitters. It just occurred to me that this goes out to Seattle, and you played the J.B. Pritzker clip, and what people should know if they're listening around the country is that J.B. Pritzker has experience in cleaning up after disastrous Republican administrations. So if 28 comes around and he runs, it might be something to keep in mind. And another, just last thing here, since we're hitting Seattle, that's Paul Allen territory, and what we really, really need, what with Ted Cruz, of all people, having a radio show here in Chicago, is for liberal billionaires to buy some media.
Yes!
Please.
Thank you.
So if Paul Allen or whoever else is listening out there in Washington, there's money, there's a huge underserved audience that is going to have to listen to Ted Cruz, and we don't want to do that.
Yeah. Well, to your first point about J.B. Pritzker taking over after a disastrous Republican administration, that basically they tried doing prior to 2025 without, the whole idea of gutting services that people rely on, right? Whether it's social, whether it's for seniors, a disability. And I know I talk about this quite a bit, but they absolutely gutted these programs, and we are still recovering. And under the guidance of Governor Pritzker, under the fiduciary management of the Comptroller Susanna Mendoza, who has made sure that people get paid and get paid on time, it's made a big difference. So you're absolutely right. If there's somebody who can come in and clean up the crap, it's Governor Pritzker and folks like him.
Absolutely. I mean, and that's going to be very important because it's going to have to be done on a scaled-up basis. And so you want somebody that has done something along those lines before, although even Bruce Rauner, as bad as he was, didn't try to give up sovereignty to Texas or anything like that, which is what we're undergoing here. By the way, when we talk about how dysfunctional the government is, I think that we all have kind of a national case of ADHD, but this is all on purpose. We have documented on record that this so-called president is doing this at the behest of Vladimir Putin. Nothing about that has changed. The material facts about that have not changed. The file that Jack Smith had, the case that was there, that doesn't just vanish just because officially he's not being punished. Those facts are still in evidence.
Yeah, I agree. It is. It's mind-boggling. By the way, going back to what you also said about buying media, I will tell you when Governor Pritzker was a guest on my show at another radio station, the one that Ted Cruz is going to be on, and he was in my studio, I told him that he asked me how do we get me on during the day because I was filling in for another host, and I said buy radio stations. Right, because they're over half the country every single day still listens to terrestrial radio. You can say it's dying all you want, but all over the country, people still rely on radio. When I say terrestrial, that means you can go in your car or in your kitchen or your little radio. Yes, you can listen on your phone, but people are still getting radio, and we are still an important element in the society. And the fact that we keep, and I'm so grateful to the people that bought WCPT, to Fred who invested, but we need to be everywhere. And we have a lot of catching up to do, don't you think?
Absolutely. It's been a 50-year head start. This Project 2025 is Johnny come lately when it comes to the whole project of doing this, which happened right after the Civil Rights Act. You wonder why that's the case. But anyway, Patty, as always, it's a pleasure to talk to you. Hope to talk to you soon and be out at some of these events one of these days. Once this busy period is over, we'll hang out.
All right. Well, June 5th, I'm at the Greenhouse Theater doing stand-up comedy. That's a fun event. It's in Lincoln Park. Good. All right. Thank you so much, Darrell. Have a good evening.
Thanks. Bye.
Thank you.
You too.
Thank you. Again, that's on June 5th. We're doing stand-up for kids at the Greenhouse Theater in Lincoln Park on Lincoln Avenue. The show is at 8 o'clock. It'll be comedian Paul Farvar, Kimberly Marion, and Chris Barnes, and I'll be hosting the show, doing some comedy. And again, I'll be at the Minocqua Brewing Tap Room in Madison, Wisconsin on May 13th. And then this Saturday, of course, we have our event at Max and Benny's celebrating our 20th anniversary. You'll be able to hear Hal Sparks, Richard Chew, Scott Duff, Jonas Esposito, and I will all be broadcasting with special guests. And the doors open at 10:30. If you have a ticket, we are sold out for this event on Saturday. But if you have a ticket, doors open at 10:30. We'll be broadcasting at 11, so you can all tune in between 11 and 3 for our broadcast. And you can also make sure that you leave us a voicemail if you want to share your WCPT memory. That number is 773-467-8202. More in a moment on WCPT, KKNW, and KTNF.
Joan Esposito, live, local, and progressive.
What we do here at WCPT is more important than ever. And in addition to telling you about the latest outrage, I hope we all also offer you hope. You're not alone. We're all in this together. We are all resisting together. We are all going to work for the causes that are near and dear to our hearts.
Joan Esposito, weekday afternoons 2 to 5 on WCPT 820.
There are 1,000 ways to say it.
Nope. Knock it off. Shut it down. Dream on. No dice. Give it a rest. Not a chance.
Or just
all text. You focus on the road.
As a passenger, you have the power to prevent an accident. There are 1,000 ways to stop a distracted driver. Choose one.
A message from CTIA.
For many servicemen and women, the battle doesn't end when they come home. And I know, because I too struggle with the invisible wounds of service. Pups for Patriots and Sam literally changed my life. If you're a veteran or know a veteran struggling with post-traumatic stress or a traumatic brain injury, go to AmericanHumane.org to learn more about the Pups for Patriots Service Dog Program. Let's give our veterans a fighting chance.
A message from American Humane.
As farmers and ranchers, stewardship of the land comes naturally. Your work keeps our water clean, improves the soil, and enhances wildlife habitat. It also provides countless benefits, not just for you and your family, but for millions of Americans who depend on this region every day without even realizing it. Thank you for being stewards of America's prairie for all of us. Take a moment to find out how conservation pays. Visit conservationpays.org.
Chicago's Progressive Talk, WCPT 820, where facts matter.
Patti Vasquez is taking your calls now.
All right, let's hit it.
At 773-763-9278.
I got a lot to say.
He's driving it home with Patti Vasquez.
Thank you so much for joining us as we continue to drive it home. I was asking earlier, what are some of the things that you're thinking about as the tariffs will start to really be reflected in our goods and things that we rely on in the next few weeks and months to come? One listener said a lot of talk about no toys for Christmas, but no one's talking about medications being unavailable. And so I just did a quick search. I did not realize that 95% of ibuprofen, 95% of ibuprofen comes from China. Come on. And so that's just one thing. Yeah. That's crazy, with 145% tariff on goods from China. That's wild. 90% of the supply of anti-inflammation steroid hydrocortisone also comes from China, as well as 70% of acetaminophen. 45% of the country's penicillin imports also come to China. We're particularly reliant on China for more affordable generic drugs, of course, and 90% of prescription. You're right, Texter. Why, Texter? You're right. You're right. 630. Why isn't anyone talking about that? And that's just like over-the-counter medications. Eli Lilly's CEO David Ricks has been talking about the looming crisis ahead of us for pharmaceuticals. There are the drug maker for Eli Lilly, the CEO says that they're trying to respond to national security concerns around cheaper essential medicines. This is nuts. All right, let's see what Myrna, what's on your mind, my friend? Calling from Chicago. What's up, Myrna?
Hi, I'm not a fan, or how to say this. Pritzker to me is cool, not because a lot of people don't like him, and a lot of people have no specific reason for not liking him. My thing with him, I've been thinking for the last 2 years, hoping that he would run for president. He is a millionaire, which a lot of people dislike. He came in and tried to clean up the mess that's been left by previous governors who didn't bother looking at what was there. Mm-hmm. Susanna has been doing an incredible job of getting rid of our debt, because it is our debt. Taxpayers are paying for the mismanagement of previous governors. Mm-hmm. People are not looking at that. You know, they have these little things of, he's a millionaire. He's a millionaire.
He's a billionaire with a B. Yeah.
Okay, well, okay, I'll give him that. But a lot of people might be thinking, well, you know what? Patti works for his office, so she's got to say nice things about him. That's beside the point. I'm going to say nice things about my boss too, but if my boss
by the way, I don't work for the governor. I work for while I work for the state of Illinois, I work in Susanna Mendoza's office, in the comptroller's office.
Yeah, so basically he is your big boss. You know,
and look, hey, I'll be honest, Myrna. He did not support me in my race for state rep, so I'm not. I'm with. I like what he's saying, and I'll see how things unfold. He's not getting it right out of the gate. He's gonna have to work for it like anybody else who's running for office.
Exactly. And I wish people who you have new listeners who are not familiar. They're not from Illinois, so they're not familiar with his track record or what people have put him through.
Sure.
They have no idea what he's doing for us. That, you know, putting Susanna in there, he knew what he was doing. If he runs for president, I hope he wins, and I hope he takes her with him so that she can clean up the mess that previous administrations have done.
Hey, don't recommend my. I mean, whatever she wants to do, but I'm like, I don't know if I want. I don't want to be in a position years from now where I'm working for the federal government and another Musk comes along and decides that I'm not worthy of having employment. What I mean to say is, I really love my job. I love what I do, supporting the work that providers of healthcare and human services try to make sure that we're well informed of what's going on across the state. For example, we do. I didn't even mention this at the beginning of the show. We do, like, across the country, there are over 900 measles cases. We now have 2 confirmed cases in Cook County alone, plus 1 suspected in Champaign and 1 in Marion County in southern Illinois. So they're giving out information. If you're curious, by the way, one of the people who's been diagnosed with measles passed through O'Hare Airport, and they're giving locations because measles is highly contagious, and the virus can survive up to 2 hours when someone has left the room. It's one of the most contagious infections in the world, on the planet. So, yeah.
And the thing is, you're going to have people criticizing anybody who starts using masks again to try to avoid that virus. So people just chill out.
Yeah.
Try to be proactive. Try to be careful, and don't think that everything is doomsday. Just try to work with what we have.
Right.
Be positive and just be perceptive, but also be careful. We have to do that. Stop being so casual about everything.
Absolutely, absolutely. I appreciate that, Myrna. Thank you so much for calling. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Have a good one. Yeah, I haven't even mentioned the fact that we are dealing with 4 cases in Illinois, but we had gone for quite a long time. As I mentioned, there are over 900 cases. Let's see. If you go back and look at last year, I mean, the numbers are just so much higher than they were just last year. So let me see if I can find the measles. I want to find the recommendations because a lot of people have questions about whether or not they should get vaccinated, revaccinated, get a booster. And so let me take a look at some of the information to make sure that, there are recommendations for people who were vaccinated after or before. There's a certain time period that you want to make sure that you are. So we encourage anyone who has not gotten vaccinated, in particular children, to get measles vaccinations. Anyone who was vaccinated between 1963 and 1967, you received the inactivated measles vaccine. So they are recommending that you get vaccinated again. People with uncertain vaccination status, if you're not sure whether or not you've been vaccinated for measles, they're recommending that you talk to your medical professionals and find out if it's time for you to get a booster shot or get vaccinated. And if you have no evidence of immunity, no documentation of vaccination or confirmation, you want to talk to your medical professional about possibly getting vaccinated. Obviously, people who are working, they're high risk groups, people working in the healthcare facilities or caregivers working with people at home, school staff and communities with confirmed cases. So right now we have 2 cases. You can go and find out where those two communities are. I know that one of the individuals was at a library on Elston Avenue. So it does seem as though it might be the north side of Chicago. And again, I know I'm giving local information, so I want to make sure we're talking to our friends across the country. They are again, there are folks who should wait, pregnant women, because it is a live vaccine. They recommend that you not get it while you are pregnant, but hopefully you get it before and immediately after you deliver. So at any rate, I hope that everyone can be safe. But over 900 cases around the country. Let me see what the numbers were. Measles cases in 2025. There's been we have outbreaks in there's 29 states currently have measles cases. And U.S. measles cases over 900 with outbreaks in Pennsylvania. And then there's always this, like, it's the migrants that are bringing the measles. Well, then get vaccinated. Fine. Whatever it is you think that's causing it, get vaccinated. Part of why it's spreading is because there's been so much misinformation and lies spread about vaccinations. So right now we have 1/5 of the country that has measles outbreaks. And you know how many... The number we have right now is triple what we had for all of last year, and we are on May 1st. Triple the number of measles cases across the country, and it's only May 1st. We have outbreaks in New Mexico, Oklahoma, and Kansas. And look, I'm telling you this, it is to be preventative, right? It is to let people know, to be informed, to know that this is happening. And if you are vulnerable, take the necessary actions to make sure that you and your family are safe. That's really the goal. Coming up tomorrow, I got to reach out to Karen Byrne, because Karen Byrne has been very kind to me. She is, of course, the host of the True Blue Politics podcast, and she'll be joining Richard Chu tomorrow morning. And for his regular segment, monthly segment, Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson, who I believe might be joining us on Saturday for our celebration. So tune in tomorrow from 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. Of course, weekday Choose Views broadcast right here on WCPT 820. You can go to the Heartland Signal website, tune in, YouTube, or Facebook. And coming up on Live, Local, and Progressive with Jonas Bizito, she'll be taking your calls and talking to Tom Hartman, Professor Joel Ostro, and legal analyst Jill Winebanks. So that's tomorrow from 2 to 5 p.m. And I'll be joined by Hal Sparks tomorrow. Hal Sparks is coming. Oh my God, Lady B, we're going to have Hal Sparks in the studio. I almost forgot. Oh, Roosevelt, you've got to less than a minute, Roosevelt. What's on your mind, my friend?
I don't need that much time. Okay. Thank you for taking my call. Real quick, how come nobody's talking about this guy falling asleep?
At the funeral? Or when?
No, not only at the funeral. Recently, at one of his, with his cabinet where they got to say thank you.
Did he fall asleep again? Oh my God, I didn't know he did.
He fell asleep again, and then all the mistakes. Did you see Bill O'Reilly? Who's the other guy? Cuomo and Stephen A. They're working for one of those other stations, other TV stations, and they had him on the phone, and he confused the word the university Harvard with.
He confused the word. I gotta go now. I wanted to know, but I'm out of time. Thank you, Roosevelt. I'll look into the stories about it. I'm sure Hal will have something to say about it. Thank you, Lady B. Thank you to our sponsors, Source Solar, Monaco Brewing Company, and Kids Above All. Take care, everybody. Bye.
The impact of a meal goes well beyond feeding our bodies, because feeling full can sound like this.
How did the interview go? I did it. I got the job. I can't believe it.
And like this.